We've got one final presentation here, then we are breaking for the end of the day. Tonight we have the dinner in this same venue, so if you've got any stuff in here, please knock out fairly quickly so we can turn it all around. If at the last minute you can't come to the dinner and you currently hold a seat, make sure you tell the good people at the registration desk, because there's still a waiting list of people desperate to get in. Whether you go to the dinner here tonight or whether you choose to cruise down Cabell Avenue and dance until dawn, we will be starting at 9 a.m. sharp tomorrow morning. Make sure you are ready to go. Our final speakers today, it's a double act, but we're going to be first joined by Riccardo Galbiati from Palo Alto Networks, a 15-year cybersecurity veteran with a career that spans consulting, network security and sales engineering. He's going to be joined by a very special guest after a couple of minutes. Please give Riccardo a big round of applause. Riccardo, all yours.
Thank you very much for joining us and hopefully not leaving too early. It looks like I'm the last man standing between ourselves and a good drink, so I'll try to keep it brief, if not entertaining. As you can see, my name is Riccardo Galbiati. I'm the Regional Chief Security Officer at Palo Alto Networks for the JPAC region. And today I want to talk to you about something that I started actually last year, right on this stage. If you were here, you probably recognize that the title of the presentation is quite similar. Last year it was called The Security Operations Center of the Future, and now I've added a little bit of a subtitle to it because we have the answer. We know what the answer to that question is. What is the definition of that? It should be a true real-time platform. So follow me if you want to understand more why that is the answer. So going a little bit back to where we left things off last year. Well, we realized that the Security Operations Center is still, unfortunately, burdening our analysts and people too much, slowing them down because they have to pivot through so many different tools and interfaces in order to figure out what are these alerts telling them at any given time. Thousands of alerts from different sources, finding them sometimes in the SIEM, sometimes somewhere else, and then having to chase them left, right, and center. And so the output and result of that is, unfortunately, that our current Security Operations Center metrics are not that good. We ingest quite a bit of data in the SIEM, most likely, and it's costing us a lot of money at the same time. So we actually reduce the amount we try to ingest to fit the budget. We generate way too many incidents. We use automation as a crutch instead of putting it up front. And if we are lucky, we can chase and close an event between 3 and 4 days after it happened. On the attacker side of things, well, they're only been improving instead. We're now actually able to demonstrate our Unit 42 incident response team has actually clocked attackers being able to infiltrate, breach, encrypt, and extract within 13 hours. So if we're playing this game of responding in days against an attacker that moves in hours, what are we doing? Are we wasting our money? So what we realize is the problems of the SOC can be solved if we focus on solving them with a platform approach. This is something that Palo Alto Networks has invested in many areas, and the security operation space is one of them, the others being the network space and the cloud space. But specifically for security operations, we believe that we should destroy the silos. Data should be in one place. Destroy multiple interfaces and bring them all into the same place. Merge case management, automation, analytics, and all these anomaly detection tools that are normally still separated and giving us partial context, and instead merging them all into the same place. That's how we can move towards real-time security. And so shifting that pyramid that I talked about also last year, that at the moment is relying so much on human intervention and only uses automation at the end of the cycle, and instead switching that game around and having automation and analytics first, and concluding with the human's intervention only if needed and only at critical decision making. So we're going to speed up the whole process at the same time. In fact, I concluded the presentation last year with the Security Operations Center of the future is machine-led and human-empowered, and that's what it should be. And so last year I talked about Cortex XIM, which is the platform that Palo Alto Networks has created, as I described above, bringing down all those silos in one place. But today I want to show you something about version 2.0, which leverages what we call precision AI. If you go and look us up, recently we've made a few announcements about our latest use of AI, and Precision AI is exactly the output or result of that investment. We believe that AI is a twofold conversation. We have AI used to process very large amounts of data very rapidly, much faster than a human could do, and giving you high fidelity results. But at the same time, there's generative AI, which is a completely different topic. But if you merge the two at the same time, so you get very high fidelity results and help your analyst and human employees to extract this information using generative AI, so finding answers by talking to the product in natural language, that's when you get Precision AI. And we can finally get to that very quick mean time to detect and respond that will allow us to beat the attackers. And what does it look like? Let's see if the video plays. It looks like this. On the left side, you can see all the sources of data from multiple tools, including, of course, Palo Alto Networks, but also third-party tools that can send thousands of alerts per second into our centralized data lake. And if we expand a little bit on the data side of things, you can see that we have data coming in from endpoints, clouds, identity providers, email services, third party, as I said, and also able to tell you, even at that point, how much data is coming through, how much of these alerts we need to know about, but they're effectively already being prevented. All this in real time. And then if we shift towards the middle, which will happen in a couple of seconds, we can see all these alerts that are flowing towards a single location where they effectively get correlated. There's no more the chase of, I have an alert here, what does it mean? Oh, maybe it means also that something else is happening on the other side of my environment. No, you can do that. You can use machines to do that correlation, to fuse that data together, to provide that context that you need to move faster and understand patterns that a human could never do. And ultimately, on the right side, these alerts are combined into incidents. And incidents is the mix of all these alerts in a correlated fashion that tells you that you should look after it because it's a serious event. And the vast majority, automated. There are playbooks that can perform closure of incidents, enrichment of details, fully automated. And if they can't, they rely on a human, but still learning as the human goes in possible additional automation, following the analyst work and figuring out, can I do that for you next time? This is what Precision AI is all about, and moving us to real-time security. The outcome of that, well, we can ingest a lot more data. We should ingest a lot more data. We should generate the right number of events, not an event for every single alert. And then we should lead the closure of all those events with automation to get us to a 16 minutes to 5 hours average time to resolution. This is how we can beat attackers. If not, we're falling behind. Now, this actually concludes the part of the presentation side of things, but I am a big believer that the proof is in the pudding, right? So I want to bring on stage someone who has gone through this exact journey and ended up with this particular solution in place and can tell you all about it. So I'm really delighted to invite on stage our own Brendan Kelly from Resolution Live to discuss about XAM. Please put your hands together for Brendan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, Brendan, first of all, could you just give us a little bit of details about your role at Resolution Live?
So at Resolution Life, I'm the security architecture manager and I'm the enterprise security architect within the cyber team.
Excellent. So you obviously, a lot of your time is spent in the SOC.
Yes, and thinking about ways we can improve and working with our ops and engineering team to see where we can better leverage the products and services we've got to get the outcome we need.
Excellent. So Resolution Live has been a big customer of Palo Alto Networks for a few years, and you've gone through I would call it a SOC transformation journey. And so I'll ask you a direct question, which might shock the audience, because in my experience, when I talk to customer and ask them, do you have a security operations center? And the answer tends to be, yes, I have a SIEM. So I'll ask you a question, do you have a SIEM?
No, we've decommissioned our SIEM as part of our journey.
Right. How did that happen? What did you realize needed to be done, and why did you feel like the SIEM was there was no more a place for a SIEM in your SOC?
It was an evolution. It wasn't. We didn't set out to get rid of the SIEM. It was kind of an evolution. So we started out with the traditional approach. So a bit of background on Resolution Life. We only entered the Australia-New Zealand region in 2019. So there's a presence overseas, but there was nothing here. And when we entered, we knew that we wanted to take a more modern approach to cybersecurity, and we wanted to take, and we knew that automation was going to be part of that journey. At the time, however, like when we bought the Palo Alto products, at that time the Cortex product set did not ingest any feeds other than Palo Alto Kit. So we knew we needed something, a SIEM, so we put in Splunk Cloud. So we had those working side by side. And we had a SOC from MSSP. We then moved to automation. So we went to the XOR product. We integrate that into our overall SIEM and SOC structure. And we just slowly over time started introducing the automation. And about a year ago, Palo Alto brought out the XIM product, and it seemed like a good fit for us to move into. At that time, it was able to cover all of the feeds that we have, so more than just Palo Alto. It could take in AWS, Azure, et cetera, to give us that visibility in one place, in one platform, where we could do all of our automation, all of our response, all of our detection.
So if I understand that correctly, you took a step-by-step approach. It wasn't a big bang approach.
Yeah.
And you started with centralizing data in some way, and then starting to automate that. And as a consequence of that interaction, you realized that you could do more and more with it, and eventually ended up with a consolidated approach, right?
There's a lot of talk out of the market there, the economies of scale. We are a small team. There was no way we were going to be able to do it ourselves, even with support from what we wanted to get out of it, right? So we had to take that automation journey. And it's just as the industry, as the product sets evolved, we just came along with that journey. But no, we did not start out going, we're going to get rid of SIEM. We know we need to get all that data and those events into one place so that we could get a full view of what was happening in our organization to be able to take the right remediation, to take the right response.
So you talked about having a small team, and there's a lot to do in the SOC for a small team, unless you automate it, of course. But could you, do you have memory of how many interfaces or the workflow of your SOC analyst, how spread across multiple tools it was before as opposed as it is today?
So sporadic of the tools? Okay, so can you ask the question in a slightly different way?
Yeah, of course. So how many interfaces and tools do you think were you able to merge while you went through this transformation journey?
So it was about 4 or 5. Yep. So we said before that we had a lot of Palo Alto kit. So Cortex Data Lake, we had Cortex XDR, we had Cortex XOR. On top of that, we had Splunk Cloud. So all 4 of those platforms have been migrated into a single platform, which is XIM. On top of that, we've got some extra functionality out of it. And so that's from a product set perspective, that's what.
Yeah, and so those were effectively run as different interfaces, like at the same time. So that in general, beside the benefits of centralizing the location where the data resides, I guess optimizes the flows of operations in the SOC, Mike. It's all information in one place.
One of the benefits, well, that was one of the added benefits of going to a single point of, or a single pane of glass effectively, right? And that's one of the use cases for automation, is to be able to turn around and go, well, if I've got 5 separate products, I need to reach out to my firewalls, I need to reach out to my XDR, I need to reach out to my AWS to be able to correlate and see and have that visibility of what I'm going to do, to be able to take an accurate response. Without that level of visibility, it changes the confidence level of the automated response out of the back of it. XIM for us, it's all in one place. The product itself will ingest all that data and then be able to fire up those alerts, turn them into incidents so that we can be confident in the response that we take, whether that's automated or putting it in front of a person.
Yeah, so talking about consolidation, right, when you adopt a platform, there's also an inherent benefit that you assume you will get from an economical perspective. Without going into details, did you feel like you had some economic benefit in consolidating those products as well?
Yes. So I said before, it's probably a way to put it is direct and indirect benefits, right? The indirect benefits are the employees are going to spend less time switching between machines or tools to as part of their investigation. From a direct benefit, being able to, for example, decommission our scene, that's a direct financial benefit that we were able to then leverage in other ways.
That's a very interesting thing. Obviously, operational benefits that you kind of measure over time, and immediate benefits, obviously, I guess, in contract negotiation. Some licensing, I guess, is also involved. Like, as I said, the SIEM model tends to charge you a lot more for data ingestion, as opposed to the model which should focus, if you think about it, about data analysis. So it's only the data you analyze that's the one you should be charged for, not the one that you've been sending for the previous number of months or years or so. So let's talk about measurable metrics. Like, if you were going to measure anything to demonstrate that you have actually progressed towards a real-time platform or a real-time security operations center, what kind of metrics would you choose?
So we kind of focus on MTTR as an overall outcome. So we obviously look at things like the data ingested, the events created, alerts, turning into incidents, et cetera, et cetera. But MTTR is probably the biggest benefit that we've seen. So I don't have all the figures back from when we had the more traditional SOC with the SIEM, et cetera, et cetera. But back in those days, we would think that an average MTTR of like 24 hours, we'd be having a good day.
Yep.
What we get out of XSIEM at the moment, and you saw the command center dashboard up there. There's another dashboard in there, and it tells us we're getting it down to overall an average of 6-hour MTTR. But that's also across both the automated response as well as the manual intervention, because we still have that aspect of putting a ticket in front of the person if we need more investigation.
Of course. And speaking about automation and how much of it you rely upon, what was your journey around understanding what if this product creates false positives for me? Can I trust the automation behind it? Is that something, a question that you ask yourself?
It is a journey of confidence, right? So in the beginning, when we started with automation, even with the platform, the first thing we did was just make sure that all the events, like 100% of our events, are automatically triaged as a first step.
Yep.
Right? And we're at a point now where about 70% of our incidents are automatically remediated. But it was a journey. We started, every change we make, we kind of do an audit of it to build up our confidence. And then as we get more confident in it, then we'll turn on the automated remediation where we can. We can't automate everything, but it is something that we've built up over time. And we started with XOR, with the automation side of things, and we're just being able to build up the playbooks and getting the automated response to where we are today. That
sounds like a reasonable approach. Now I checked the time and I can see that we're definitely in beer o'clock. So last question for you, Brendan. We talked about Security Operations Center of the future, true real-time platform. How close do you feel you are to a fully autonomous SOC? Or is there something left to be done there?
There's always something left to be done. There's always fine-tuning to be done. The tool does a lot of the heavy lifting for us, right? So from just using the 80-20 rule, like the tool will do 80% of the investigation, the analysis, and determining from all those events what's an alert, from all those alerts what we actually need to look at. We then need to take it ourselves because we need to fine-tune that for our environment, and that fine-tuning is never going to end. And there's always going to be, because there's always legacy systems, heritage systems out there that we're going to have to integrate with, and processes that outside of our team aren't necessarily automated, that there's always going to be a manual effort. So 100% autonomous, I think we're a ways off from that yet, but want to see what AUA is going to bring and where we can do with that, but yeah.
Excellent. I think it's a good idea to aim high and see where we land.
Yeah.
But you're going in the right direction, and so that was a very, very interesting journey that hopefully you have enjoyed as well. So please put your hands together again for Brendan, and thank you very much for your attention. Now, we're finishing off, but tomorrow morning, I would like to see you come to our booth to see that interface yourself and ask a few questions. So thank you again for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you, Riccardo. Thank you, Brendan. Take these gifts, gentlemen. Thank you. Please, another round of applause for our final presentation for day one at AUSCERT. Thank you so much, Riccardo and Brendan. Catch them, of course, in the booths during your breaks tomorrow. It's also where you get your app scanned to get the passport completed to go in the draw for the prizes that we announce tomorrow before the speed debate that wraps up AUSCERT. It's that simple. We're breaking now because they're knocking this room out and turning it into a wild 70s disco dinner venue. If you're not having dinner here and going somewhere else, as I said, please make sure you're ready to go at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. We look forward to seeing you then. If you're not going to the dinner but you're currently holding a ticket, please tell the good people at the registration desk so they can pass that on to another keen disco dancer. See you here tonight on the dance floor or tomorrow morning. Hope you've enjoyed AUSCERT Day 1.